As far as attracting top recruits, I think it already is attracting top recruits. Going 60, I believe it's 61-3 now since 2016. Mm-hmm. That kind of home advantage you can't find anywhere. The only team that's better than that is Gonzaga, and they play San Francisco and Mount St. Mary's every year. Mm-hmm. Coming to Florida State, where you're playing one of Duke or Carolina every single year. You've got Miami coming in every year, Notre Dame, Louisville. You've got so many big-time talents, Virginia and Virginia Tech, I forgot them, Syracuse. You got so many big-time programs in this conference. That alone is going to get you at least the attention of recruits, but obviously winning against those teams is going to get you recruits as well.
Hey guys, it's Terrence Nan. You're listening to Hear the Spirit, presented by Noel Game Day. Go Noles.
Hey, what's up? This is Peter Ward, a.k.a. E-Dub, in the house. So we're listening to Hear the Spirit, presented by Noel Game Day. Go Live, go Noles.
Hi, this is Charlie Ward, and you're listening to Hear the Spirit, go Noles.
This is Terrell Buckley. You're listening to Hear the Spirit, presented by Noel Game Day. No Bloody.
But perhaps better known as the greatest corner to ever step on a football field, Deion Primetime Sanders.
Great Deion Sanders, my brother. What's going on, man? I could wake up to that greeting every day, man. That was awesome.
Hello, Noles fans. This is former Seminole Derek Brooks, and you're listening to Hear the Spirit, presented to you by Noel Game Day.
James Wilder Jr. What's going on, James?
Thanks for having me on. SSOD, Florida State or Die, and go Noles.
William Bar None Floyd.
Gentlemen, what's up?
What's happening, guys? This is Logan from Hear the Spirit, presented to you by Noel Game Day. We are here on Sunday evening. We got quite a bit to talk about. We're going to jump a little bit into softball, talk about their start to the season, then jump into football, have a quick recap on National Signing Day, also Florida State's new commit there for the 2021 class. And then to end off the rest of the podcast, we'll run through basketball. Florida State's big matchup against Duke and the Cameron Indoor. That's going to be happening tomorrow night at 7 p.m. The guys are also going to recap the Miami game. And then we're going to go through y'all's questions that you gave us through Twitter, and then have our trivia and fun facts. As always, you can listen to this podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play, also YouTube. I want to give a shout out. We got another 5-star rating. Like I said, we're going to shout out every 5-star rating that we receive from you guys. We definitely appreciate it. If you leave a 5-star rating, we're going to put your name out there. So thank you to Storm Rafiki. Says, just a great overall podcast for everyday FSU football fans. Great insight and great conversations that aren't super technical. So for a casual fan, I can see how it is easy to understand, but it doesn't take away any substance from the detail that you crave from a podcast of this nature. Favorite part of the show is the intro. Stuff gets you hype, especially when it's the off season. Keep up the good work. Go Noles. So thank you, Storm Rafiki, for the review and nice words. But yeah, let me go get the two guys on here with me, our lead writer and editor, Dustin Lewis, and our lead basketball writer, our busy guy right now, Austin Veazey. What's going on, boys?
Busy guy? What's he doing?
Writing this Duke preview.
Oh, you couldn't have done that a couple days ago? Prioritize your time a little bit better?
We had the Miami game yesterday, and I was working all day today, so you know.
Yeah, really like to see more effort. Yeah, Dustin, yeah. You just had like 2 days off after National Signing Day. Just, no big deal.
Finally.
Yeah. No, we had a little break. I had family come in this weekend. Y'all have a good weekend?
I guess.
Jeez.
I mean, I'm still alive.
That is huge. We're making it through. We're making it alive. Y'all watch any of the XFL?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad, honestly.
I was watching the Hornets Mavericks game last night, plus a little bit of UNC Duke, and then today I was working, so I really couldn't.
The only thing about the XFL so far is I feel like there hasn't really been a lot that's happened for teams on offense. There hasn't really been a lot of exciting big plays. But I thought like the concepts where they're interviewing guys after drives, that's kind of cool. And then also at halftime, they have like the reporters in each locker room. So that's an interesting twist. I kind of like it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I do think if there was some better offensive play it would be more entertaining. The defenses were playing good. But I guess the two favorites to win the XFL championship, the Dallas Renegades and the Tampa Bay Vipers, both lost today, or this weekend.
Yeah, I think Florida State fans are happy. Bob Stoops didn't end up in Tallahassee. Can't even win the XFL.
Unreal. Yeah, they weren't supposed to win the game. Or they were supposed to win the game today by, I thought, quite a bit, like 9 points, 9.5.
That's another cool thing. I forgot about that. They have the spread and the over-under on the scoreboard.
Mm-hmm. That's
and
interesting.
The kickoffs are cool, too.
Yeah, I actually like that idea where you're lining up. We got like 10 yards apart from each other. And whenever the kickoff happens and the returner catches a ball, that's whenever they're allowed to go ahead and set off and go against each other. But then it creates it's a safer environment, and then also you have a better chance at a kick return, which is usually the most exciting part of games per se.
Yeah, and they were penalizing kickers for illegal procedure if the ball didn't go past the 20.
Oh wow!
So if like a guy it hit at like the 21. And the other team got a penalty, and the offense started at the other team's 45. I was like, dude, what?
Awesome.
That's fun. I didn't see. Maybe it was just depending on the network, but I didn't have like a whole lot of commercials. I felt like I got to see a lot of gameplay and not a lot of commercials. I know that's something that McMahon had talked about early on, that they didn't want to have a lot of commercials. They want to have a lot of game time. So it's pretty interesting to me. And they have a different kind of 2-minute warning, and the timing and how they do it there.
All kinds of different rules that it's going to take probably a couple weeks for people to truly understand.
Yeah, I know. It's going to take me a little while, but it's good. I enjoy it. If there's football on that I can just put out in the background while I'm doing things on the weekends, I'll take it any day of the week. I love just having football on.
Yeah.
Speaking of some football stuff and some guys that are in the pros, we can go and announce that we're going to have a big podcast on Tuesday night. We're going to have former Noles 2013 national champions, 2 running backs, James Wilder Jr. and Carlos Williams, joining us at the same time. They're going to be dual podding with us. We're excited for that. I don't know what to expect. Carlos told me that we should watch out. That they're both going to be allowed to come on and talk at the same time. So I think it should be pretty entertaining, and I'm sure we'll get some good stories. And definitely make sure you guys are subscribed wherever you're listening to this, wherever you're listening to on the platform, so you can get notified when it goes up. Let's jump right into a quick shout out to Florida State's softball team. They start off their season and they played against North Carolina first, but then, they beat number 1 Alabama in a beautiful fashion. They won 8-7. Then they played Detroit Mercies in town, and they beat them 22-0. And Mercy ruled in the 5th inning. And then they actually Mercy ruled Alabama again later in Saturday, 8-0. And then Mercy ruled Detroit Mercy again. I guess it just kind of rhymes with everything. 12-0. So they are currently 5-0 right now. Thoughts on that, gentlemen?
Hell of a weekend, ladies.
Yeah, just insane, because they were down 7-1 in that Alabama game going into the 6th inning. Got to run there. And then still, you're down 7-2 in the final inning of the game. Everything's looking pretty dire, and they get a grand slam to put life back into the team before pulling out in extras on an Elizabeth Mason RBI single. So just a great game from a team that has a lot of experience. And then, ever since then, the offense has been on fire. Like you said, Logan, Mercy ruled each team in their last 3 games, did it to number 1 Alabama. So just a great start to the season.
Yep. They'll play Florida A&M FAMU on Wednesday this upcoming week. And then they'll have a big tournament this upcoming weekend. They'll face against number 2 Washington, number 7 Minnesota, and number 15 Northwestern. That's this upcoming weekend. Florida State usually tries to jump into these big tournaments where there's some good teams nationally coming in. So that'll be entertaining to watch. I think most of that's going to be on ESPN and ESPNU. So it's a great start. And Lonnie, Alameda, she's a great coach, but also a great person. If you've ever been able to meet her, and just if you see her on social media, she's very personable with you, and she deserves a lot of this. They work their tails off.
Yep, and she actually got win number 700 today in her career.
Yeah. So congratulations, sir. We need to get her on the podcast. That's who we need.
Yeah.
All right, so let's jump into football. Florida State finishes number 22 in the country per 247 Sports for the 2020 class. On National Signing Day, the guys landed DJ Lundy, TJ Davis, Sidney Williams. On the flip side, Florida State loses Donovan Kaufman to Vanderbilt. And then, this was probably the biggest one and what everybody was keeping an eye on heading into it. I know the night before, people were trying to get rumblings on it. Malachi Wideman, what his status was going to be. But he actually is going to go join Jeremy Pruitt at Tennessee. Thoughts on that whole situation, Dustin, to you with Malachi Wideman? Because we were I know I stated I was 50-50 the day before National Signing Day, but he visited around to multiple other schools, and you thought maybe the relationship on the basketball side would have been tight, but that didn't seem that way. And Ron Dugan's maybe to keep him there with FSU, but just kind of turned out to be the other way.
Yeah, I thought really the relationships would be the big key here for Florida State, but like you said, in the end, that didn't really matter, and Wideman decided to go to Tennessee, where honestly he'll probably be able to get on the basketball court a little sooner in his career. I think one thing he's looking at with Florida State is that there's so much experience already on this FSU roster, and Wideman, I know Austin said it to us before, but he's a developmental prospect in basketball, not really an elite defender at this point. And to get on the court in Tallahassee, you have to play great defense. But just looking over to the rest of the class, Florida State did land three big prospects in linebacker DJ Lundy, defensive end TJ Davis, and defensive back Sidney Williams. I know in our predictions, we said that Williams would be in this class if Kaufman decided to go to Vanderbilt or Ole Miss, which he did decide to go elsewhere. He had been committed to Vanderbilt for a while, so it wasn't really a major surprise. But I think it's nice for Florida State to get a guy like DJ Lundy in the fold, 3-star linebacker out of Georgia who had interest from the Bulldogs as well as Virginia Tech. He's a state champion wrestler in the heavyweight division. I believe his overall record was like 116-4, and all 4 of those losses came during his freshman season of high school. So you're getting a guy that is really physical, definitely understands leverage with being that great of a wrestler in that weight class, and is a pretty underrated prospect in my opinion coming out of Georgia. And then another one to like is TJ Davis, late riser who Florida State tried to keep under the radar a little bit. He's another guy just got lost in Georgia. And I mean, you think back to guys like Tamorion Terry and Ontario Wilson, same thing with them. They were just lost in small town Georgia. So yeah. I think Florida State potentially found 2 more guys like those 2, but on the defensive side of the ball. And then Sidney Williams, he suffered a leg injury during his senior year, didn't really play a lot. And before that, he was getting interest from Auburn and a bunch of other SEC schools. So as long as he can come back healthy, has a really good relationship with Marcus Woodson, I think he's another nice grab for Florida State. So we'll just have to see.
Austin, I know Dustin was talking about it earlier, but do you think basketball-wise with Malachi Wideman flipping and going to Tennessee, is that a big loss for Leonard Hamilton, or I think everything's going to be all right?
I wasn't too surprised. There had been some rumors that Coach Hamilton and his staff weren't huge fans of Wideman and his talent and thought it'd be a few years before he'd see the floor in Tallahassee. And while his last visit in Tallahassee did go well, there were a couple whispers that maybe the basketball part of it didn't go as well as planned. But that's obviously just whispers and there's nothing confirmed. I wasn't too surprised he flipped at the end of the day. And Tennessee is a good basketball program as well. They may not be having the greatest year this year, but last season they were top 3 seed in the tournament.
Yep. Pretty good, like you said, pretty good basketball program over there in Knoxville. Obviously, you have a veteran coach and Rick Barnes, so I think everything will be all right for Weidman with Tennessee. And I don't know. In the end, the situation just didn't fit at Florida State. Wasn't going to be on a basketball scholarship at FSU, and football was going to have to come first. And when football's coming first, that means he's not going to be there for all of the basketball off-season practices and things like that to be able to learn the system and integrate himself chemistry-wise with the rest of the guys as much as he could do if he was solely focused on basketball. So I think that with an elite program like Florida State, it just means he probably wouldn't see a lot of time here.
And we've seen in the past when Florida State football players try and get him with basketball, like with, I think it was Marquez White.
Yep, Marquez White back in the day.
Yeah, he tried to play basketball and very sparingly saw the floor.
Yeah, really deep into the bench guy, basketball-wise.
It's a different, and Austin has talked about it too. And we've had Kofor on. We've had multiple guys from last year's team on here, like Terrence Mann, say that there's a different family feel and that under Leonard Hamilton than what it is probably with how football is. And mainly that's when Willie Taggart was here. I'm not saying it's changed or is the same now that Norvell is here, but Leonard Hamilton has a family. It's just a different kind of vibe over there and how he runs things. So yeah, I thought I was entertained, and I'm sure a lot of fans too saw his videos coming through Instagram and Twitter of him making these crazy dunks. So I'm like, well, you know what? For a guy like me that gets entertained by that, then I would definitely go to the Tuck and watch it. But right now, I trust Leonard Hamilton, and y'all got some stuff down here recruiting wise that I think Leonard Hamilton's going to be all right. Next here, Brandon Jennings, Legacy Knoll, commits to FSU. This is a big grab for Florida State and Adam Fuller and Chris Marv. He committed actually with his dad's 1999 national championship jersey. Awesome moment there. His dad was extremely happy. Also, dad can also play. He could probably play right now if he wanted to. That is a big man. And I think his son's also got the genetics. 6'3", 225. Still got another season to play as a senior. And I want to get to talk about that in a second. But he's ranked the number 4 outside linebacker in the 2021 class. How you feel about that one, Dustin?
I feel pretty good. We talked about Florida State landing the commitment of Luke Altmaier on our last podcast and how he would be a bell cow offensively for Tribe 21. And now, a couple days later, FSU gets their defensive bell cow, and Brandon Jennings, who's currently a top 40 prospect in the class, I think there's very good potential that he winds up getting that 5th star. Right now, he's a 4-star guy. And just, he does it all. Very physical athlete. Lays the wood, like I said, athletic enough to get back in coverage and also help out in the passing game. So he's really a do-it-all linebacker, and it helps with him being a legacy recruit. Definitely a guy that has the personality and is popular with recruits around the country. And I think there will be some guys that end up committing to Florida State and large parts of the effort he puts in recruiting them.
Yeah, this is a big boy. He's ranked 39th nationally in the 2021 class. Like I said, he's the 4th ranked outside linebacker per 247 Sports.
Yeah.
And he's still growing too. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in, grows taller a little bit. He could be close to 6'4", 230, 235, honestly.
Yeah. And he's going to be an early enrollee, so.
Yeah, I think. Didn't he note that during his commitment ceremony?
I believe so.
I think that was overheard. He was saying that. So that's huge. And that also, I think a lot of people are also, this builds up a momentum for Norvell, obviously. Captain Obvious over here. But defensive-wise, and I don't remember the last time Florida State has landed a linebacker of this high rating. Maybe, I know we were talking about it earlier a couple of days ago in the chat. Was it Matthew Thomas? Am I missing somebody? I know Dante.
Someone said Matthew Thomas, which I don't know if that's true or not, but if it is true, wow, that's insane.
Yeah, because Matthew Thomas came in obviously with a 5-star.
5-star, yeah.
Yeah, let me check real quick. We're gonna do a live Google check. This is what we do it here. This very Djax, of course, was a 4-star, 9.561. Yeah, this is Brandon's higher, 9.799. Djax was 9.561 per 247 Sports. With a good chance where he could move up quite a little bit more too, to where he could reach that 5-star. He's still got another season to play, camps. Keep out, and this dude likes to hit. Everybody knows I like guys that hit hard and bring violence. So big pickup for Chris Marv.
He plays like an old school Florida State linebacker.
Yeah, which is what people want. And I mean, we've talked about this multiple times, and we've had former linebackers on here too. I know Reggie Northrup has talked about it. Nick Moody has also chatted with us about it. The size that Florida State's linebackers have had the last couple of years, they're almost the size of DBs. This ain't no damn DB size coming in. This is a different animal. This is not what Florida State. The Florida State fans should feel pretty solid about this guy coming down. All right, let's see. Y'all want to jump into basketball?
Absolutely. Got a big game tomorrow.
Yeah, big game tomorrow, obviously. But let's run through the recap. Florida State wins 99-81. Why not 100 points? What's going on there, Austin?
It was funny. As the green team went down for the last possession, you could see the entire bench, including Coach CY, saying go for 100. And then the camera pans to Coach Ham and he says slow it down. I thought they were going to. If the last pass had gone to anyone other than Nate Jack, they probably would have shot it. But Nate Jack's trying to get his way into an actual bench role. So I understand why he didn't shoot, but it was a great offensive performance from Florida State. I wasn't expecting them to score 99 points. I don't think anyone was, really. I don't think anyone was expecting Miami to score 81, especially considering Chris Lex and Cameron McGusty played, but they didn't play a ton. What do you think, Dustin?
Yeah, I definitely didn't expect it to be this high scoring. I know when I made my score prediction last episode, I said 82-68. So whenever the score was 50-47 at halftime, I started sweating a little bit. I was like, man, I might have been way off on the score prediction. And really, I mean, it was just a story of the two offenses. Miami was extremely efficient in that first half before Florida State's defense really tightened up over the last 20 or so minutes to give them enough space to make it comfortable for this win. And on FSU's side, I mean, man, what can you say? 13 out of 26 from downtown, 16 out of 17 from the line, and I believe the only free throw miss was the very last free throw attempted by a Florida State player, Raekwon Evans, who missed his second free throw at the line. And it was a balanced effort. You had 5 guys getting double figures for Florida State. Shout out to my guy, Wyatt Wilkes, who just continues to be hot following that career performance against Notre Dame a couple weeks ago. Also thought Devin Vassell looked pretty good, and Florida State was down early in this game, and MJ Walker, an errant pass goes past him. He goes back and collects it about 40 feet from outside and has to pull up with the shot clock running down and just drills like a 38, 40-foot three-pointer. And I thought that shot was what really ignited Florida State in that first half to battle back into this one.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And not only ignited the entire offense, but ignited him. Up to that point, he had to make a shot. And after that, he's attacking the rim at will, and he's making those layups, those scoop layups that everybody hates that never goes in, but he was finally making them. But like you said, it was just an all-around balanced effort from everybody. Trent Forrest had 10, MJ Walker had 14, Devin Vassell had 13, Patrick Williams had 14, Wyatt had 11, Dominic Olenichuk had 8. Raekwon Evans had 8, which was his best performance, arguably, of the year. Travis Light came in the last 2 minutes, hit 2 threes with 6 points. Malik Osborne had 6 points on 2 threes. Everybody was contributing. Everybody was doing what they were supposed to do on offense. Yep. And you could tell that Florida State was trying to stagger minutes to prepare for Duke on Monday, as only MJ Walker played more than 24 minutes at 30. Trenton Devin had 23 and 24 minutes. Patrick Williams had 20. After that, no one else was even above 17. Florida State was really trying to save themselves for Duke because they know the challenge that's ahead of them. And it led to some sloppy play at first. They finished with 19 turnovers, fouled 20 times. But when you win by 18 against an in-state rival while hardly playing your main guys, that's definitely a success.
Like you said, the management of the rotations was absolutely perfect by the coaching staff in this one. Everyone played pretty much a perfect amount of minutes, did enough to get a comfortable victory against Miami. And now these guys, obviously traveling today to North Carolina, should be fresh enough to battle with Duke tomorrow night, who went toe-to-toe with North Carolina for 45 minutes on Saturday night.
Yeah, North Carolina should have come away with that. Duke got the luckiest place in the world somehow at both the end of regulation and overtime. I've never seen two missed free throws work so well for a team at the end of games. Trey Jones had arguably the best game of his career with 28 points, but it came in 42 minutes. So what kind of fatigue is he going to show against Florida State? That's an aggressive and a heavy pressuring and opportunistic defense. Is he going to be sloppier with the ball? Because he's already kind of sloppy with the ball, averaging almost 3 turnovers a game. I wouldn't be surprised if that number shoots up to 4 or 5 in this game. And Florida State's going to have to get him turning the ball over if they want a good chance of winning this game. The main player with Duke is Vernon Carey Jr. He's a low-scoring threat that Florida State has yet to see this season, averaging almost 18 points a game and 9 rebounds a game. Almost 59% from the floor. He can shoot from outside, but he hasn't done it a lot this season. If he's not taking shots right at the rim or in the paint, you're going to live with it because his jump shot's a little broken. You're going to live. You're going to live with what he does. Cassius Stanley is averaging 12.5 points. Matthew Hurt's averaging 10.5 points. Wendell Moore, who's battled injuries this year, he's averaging 8 points per game. This is a deeper Duke team than we're used to in the past. Even off the bench, you got Joey Baker, Alex O'Connell, Jordan Goldwire, and then Jack White started some games. Javin DeLaurier. They've got guys that can come in and give quality minutes. And compared to their teams in the past, like the Zion RJ team, they had no bench. The team before that, they had no bench. This is something we're not used to from Duke, and it's paying off. They're scoring 83 points a game, and they're only allowing 66 points per game. This is a really good Duke team, even if they've lost to Stephen F. Austin at home.
Yeah, they run about 7-8 deep and do a pretty good job of keeping their guys fresh. I know you were talking about Trey Jones and his turnovers. That's the one guy I don't want to roast on this podcast because last night I was sitting at Longhorns watching the game, and I was like, man, Trey Jones came back for his sophomore year, and I saw his stats. I forget how many points he had at the time, but he wasn't having a great game. I was like, man, might have not been the greatest decision for him to come back for his sophomore year. And I go back to Eaton, and I look back up, and he's got, I guess, 28. I watch him make that insane shot to send it to overtime. And, I mean, man, the last couple minutes of that game in overtime, gutsy performance by Trey Jones to help pull that one out.
Yeah, he scored 15 points in a row at one point during that game. They don't win that game without him, even if I think it was Wendell Moore ended up hitting the game-winning shot at the end. But if North Carolina just makes a couple more free throws, or if they can get a rebound, which is something they've been great all season, they win that game. And they get a much-needed win against their biggest rival and arguably the biggest rivalry in college basketball.
Yep, but I think it was perfect how everything turned out because you look at Florida State, they pretty much took care of Miami early, thought of guys, got rest. And you look over to Duke, they played later on Saturday night, played down to the wire for the first 40 minutes, and then had to grind even more over those last 5 to be able to pull it out with 2 seconds left. So I'm thinking maybe you see a tired Blue Devils team tomorrow night, even though they didn't really have to travel to get back home. Just the amount of effort it took for them to have to win that game down by so much over the last couple minutes. Just think about the energy expenditure of that team and if they can be fully recouped by Monday night, because we saw the same thing with Florida State. They didn't struggle as hard with Virginia Tech a couple weeks ago, obviously, but still that was a game that was contested until the second half where they were able to finally pull away And then Florida State came back, and that Monday night played UNC at the Tuck and struggled and looked like a fatigued team. And luckily were able to get out of there with a victory over the Tar Heels. So I'm thinking it could be a similar sort of thing with Duke tomorrow night.
Yeah, the only difference is since the first game is at home, they get a chance to recover as soon as the game is over. They've got ice tubs and hot tubs in the locker room. So as soon as coach is done talking, they can go ahead and get in there, get their knees and legs as close to normal as they can get them.
Yeah.
And then they have a full 24 hours before they hit the road today, as we're recording this on Sunday. But, yeah, they've got a huge challenge ahead of them. As you were pointing out in the overtime game for Duke, Trey Jones played 42 minutes. Cassius Stanley played 36 minutes before fouling out. Wendell Moore played 30 minutes. Vernon Carey played 28 minutes, which is a lot for a big man, before fouling out. Jordan Goldwire played 22 minutes, which is a lot for a Duke bench guy. This is more than a lot of college basketball teams are used to playing their guys, even when they don't have a lot of depth. They still like to give these guys rest so they can recover and be good in the end of the games or their next game. How fatigued Trey Jones is going to look is going to be absolutely key in this game. We're going to get to it later about what their game plan is with what Florida State's game plan is regarding Trey Jones. But I wouldn't be surprised if they don't have to do too much extra just because he just played 42 minutes in the biggest rivalry in college basketball.
Yeah, he's going to be no matter how in shape you are, how conditioned you are, playing that much and then only having a day off before playing again this time against a top 10 team, you're going to be pretty fatigued no matter what, I would say.
And it shocked me that Duke opened up as 8.5-point favorites. I was expecting them to be 3 to 4 point favorites, but considering FSU beat Louisville on the road by double digits after Louisville was favored by 6.5, then Louisville goes on the road and beats Duke, you would think by transitive property it'd be at least a close spread, but apparently not, which means either Teddy Valentine or Jamie Luckey is going to be officiating. It's just destined to happen at this point because usually one of those two get the bigger games for whatever reason. I'm cautiously checking the internet and Twitter every 10 seconds, seeing if they've announced the officials yet, and they still haven't.
Yeah, the only thing I can guess is maybe they're looking at Florida State's last road game or last two road games ago where they lost to Virginia. And then, I mean, they didn't play their greatest game at Virginia Tech, but I'd say that was due to some fatigue as well. But overall this season, and Florida State's only 3 losses have come on the road, but I'd say overall this season, Florida State, they've performed pretty well away from the Tucker Center, used to losing some easy ones away from Tallahassee in recent years in conference play. And other than the loss at Pittsburgh to open the season, at Indiana, not a bad loss. At Virginia, we've talked about not really a bad loss. I'd say the only really bad loss is that at Pitt game where Pitt just got so many whistles and doesn't make any sense for the spread to be at 9.5 points. I mean, you've got the number 7 and the number 8 teams in the country playing each other. Makes no sense for that to be pretty much a double-digit spread. But, yeah, Austin, if you don't have anything else to add, you want to move forward to score predictions?
Yeah, the only thing real quick that I'll add is Florida State's going to have to find a way to stop Vernon Carey in the post. I don't think they're going to be able to switch 1 through 5 this game, which I know a lot of fans have been really pissed that Florida State's been doing that. But if you put Trent Forrest and Devin Vassell on this mountain of a man, you're going to get abused in the post, and even Malik Osborne might get a little beat in the post. I wouldn't be surprised if they moved Malik to the 4 where he can match up against Matthew Hurt. You put Dom and Boss at the 5 and just have them steadily rotate. But they're going to have to move
Boss is going to be able to match up with him?
I mean, he's at least got the height. That's something. They're going to have to find a way to move him off the block. If you let him shoot jumpers, you'll live with that all game. As far as score predictions go, it's tough. It's going to be a really interesting game. There's so many ways this game could go. My 2 gut feelings are Florida State's either going to win on a buzzer beater or Duke's going to win by 8 to 10 points.
Wow.
I don't know why, but those are just the 2 ways I'm leaning. And just the fact that it's in Cameron Indoor, it's Duke, It's a Tobacco Road school, so they're going to get every single call imaginable.
You know it. Absolutely. You know it.
I'm already frustrated at the officiating, and we're a day ahead of the game. I think Duke's going to win. I think it's going to be a fairly high-scoring game. Not as much as Duke has been scoring all season. They're not going to score, 83 points? Yeah, I don't think they're going to score 83 points in this game. I think it's going to be 79-70 Duke.
Wow. That's tough. Duke winning by 9.
Dustin sounded like he was heartbroken with that prediction you just gave, Austin.
Yeah, I know.
I've been setting him up this whole podcast to give a Florida State winning prediction, talking about how fatigued Duke's going to be, talking about how little rest they get comparing to Florida State. I'm setting you up.
I agree with all those points. If this is neutral site or in Tallahassee, Florida State wins. But because it's in Cameron Indoor, I think Duke wins.
So what do you think is the deciding factor for that 9-point victory?
I think Vernon Carey is going to have a huge game. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying he's going to have a Marvin Bagley type game where he goes for, 35 and 23. But I wouldn't be surprised if he has 24 and 13.
I'm thinking of that Bryce Johnson game from UNC a couple years ago in Tallahassee where the man looked like freaking Shaq out there.
25, I think.
Just disgusting.
Yeah, I was at that game. I was at both that game and the Marvin Bagley game.
Yeah, wouldn't want to be you, but I watched both of them, so it's pretty much the same thing.
It's not great. I'm not gonna
lie. But yeah, like you said, Austin, I think Vernon Carey is lined up for a pretty good performance in this one. Probably a double-double, 20 and 10, somewhere around there. Florida State's bigs, some we've talked about throughout the season, just not the strongest point of this team. And now you're going against arguably the toughest center you've faced all season. I don't think Dom is going to be able to match up with him. I'm not the biggest fan of Dom. I think that's known.
He's played well. He's played really well recently, though. I'll give him his props. He's played well.
He played good last game. He hit like some really long hook shot. I was like, wow. All right.
And I think he had a good game. I think it was Virginia Tech. He had another great game.
So, I mean, yeah, there's times where he can flash, but I think this game against Carey, he's not going to be able to stop him too much on the defensive end. And then offensively, that hook shot over Carey's going to stuff that shit.
Yeah,
so I'm looking, you mentioned it, Austin, but Malik Osborne hasn't really played much recently. I'd be interested to see if Hamilton throws him up against Carey and sees if maybe he can slow him down a little bit. Just because, and I am a big Malik Osborne fanboy, so I'll go ahead and put that out there. But
aren't we all?
Man, I think he's so physical. He's got the body to be able to battle with Carey, and then I also think Malik, he just has that experience. He's already played collegiately for Rice a couple years back, and now getting back a chance to do it with Florida State. So I think this is maybe a spot for him to rebound and be able to fight against Carey a bit.
I certainly hope so. I think he's a little undersized as far as weight goes. I'm not saying he's skinny or weak by any stretch of imagination because he's a strong guy. Vernon Carey's just a bully of a man.
I believe in Malik Osborne's heart. Plays with
the energy,
the energy, the intensity he brings. Vernon Carey's gonna have to match that. That's all I'm saying. But just to make my score prediction, I think Florida State is gonna go into Cameron Indoor and win this game. I've got FSU 78, Duke 76.
Good Lord, if the game's that close. Oh man, my heart's gonna be stopped by the time the game's over.
Plus Malik Osborne buzzer beating 3 from half court.
Okay.
No.
I do not need that in my life. I do not need that kind of stress in my life.
But yeah, whether it's a late basket or a buzzer beater, Florida State, they're gonna somehow find a way to pull this one out late and get their 21st win.
Wow. Okay, Dustin. Go right ahead then. Who's gonna win? Do I get to make a prediction?
If you actually want to talk basketball for once.
Whoa. Hold up now. I went to a lot of games last year. All right. Anyway, so I do think, if I can even speak now, I do think we were talking about earlier, Dustin, and also, they had a tough game with North Carolina. Might be a little worn down. I'm going to go buzzer beater FSU Vassell 3. 76-73. They're going to be tied.
So you're going Michael Snare-esque?
Yes. It's going to be part 2.
That would be beautiful.
Yes,
I would honestly love that.
It would be beautiful to a lot of FSU fans. You want to talk about this recruiting here, basketball-wise, for FSU? Dustin, 2021 4-star Bryce McGowens commits to Florida State. Also, during the game against Miami, 2021 4-star Dallin Coleman visits, and I guess now go ahead and start off and talking about Bryce McGowens, because this is a big commit also for Leonard Hamilton moving into the future in the next class.
Yeah, I'm kind of salty. Bryce didn't wait a couple more days or so to commit because, man, I've been DMing you on Instagram trying to get this interview, and you won't even respond. So what's up with that, bro? But big land for Florida State to get Bryce McGowens in the fold for the 2021 class. He was in Tallahassee, I believe, for the Notre Dame game, if I'm not incorrect.
With Musa Chise.
Yep, with Musa to watch that. That was their official visits. And then, yesterday after the Miami game, he decided to officially commit, become a Seminole. He's actually a guy that reminds me a lot of Devin Vassell. I was watching some of his game tape, and he just has that same body, long, lanky, really long arms and legs, has a long wingspan. And then I wouldn't call him skinny, but he's more of a thin guy and just good around the rim, good defender, improving from the outside, and just another elite talent for Leonard Hamilton to mold into something great.
Yeah, and I agree. In his commitment announcement, he said he's actually going to play point guard at Florida State. So for Florida State to have another big guard playing the point, that's obviously huge. And also in his announcement, he said he was going to be recruiting heavily Musa Chise, who he visited with, and Matthew Cleveland, another very talented guard, who currently has his Florida State basketball offer pinned on Twitter. So I think Florida State's chances are high in landing those two players. And I agree with you on your assessment on McGowan's play style. He reminds me a lot of Vassell, and he's got the same kind of body type. It's a great get for Florida State and Coach Hamilton. And I love the way he announced it. It's a place where I could be a part of winning and compete for ACC and national championships, not just one, but multiple. I think this is a huge get for Florida State.
Yeah, he's a top 50 prospect, number 9 shooting guard in the country, and number 1 player actually out of the state of South Carolina in the 2021 class. So this is an elite guy. Really shows the reach that Leonard Hamilton and his staff have on the recruiting trail with the consistent success that they've been able to have at Florida State. What was actually funny to me is Bryce committed this weekend when he was at Pittsburgh. I don't know if he was on a visit to Pitt or just watching his brother play, but he decided to go ahead and commit to Florida State while at his brother's school. I thought that was something funny that was going around on Twitter.
Yeah, I love that. Establish your dominance, Bryce. I love it.
And then moving on to Dallin Coleman. He's actually a guy I got a chance to talk to a little bit last week before his visit. But, yeah, he was in Tallahassee to watch Florida State win that game against Miami. When I got a chance to talk to him, he really mentioned the crowd and the atmosphere in the Tucker Center as a big drawing factor. So I'm sure he was happy with what he got to witness in person this past weekend. And, he's another guy, top 50 shooting guard. And if Bryce is going to be sliding over to point guard, I'd say that still means there's a spot for Dallin. I know he has a pretty good relationship with Stan Jones, and Stan Jones actually offered him after he got to watch Dallin play a tournament game last summer in person. So he's another long guard, 6'6", 195 pounds or so, that Florida State's had a lot of success with guards around that size past couple years. I mean, you think about Trent and Devin, plus you have guys like Malik, Dwayne Bacon, and Terrence Mann all in the NBA now. So I think guards are really starting to see what Florida State can do and develop them into. And yeah, FSU just getting a lot of looks from elite talent now.
And they keep going after these, like you said, these long guards with crazy wingspans. Sure, the ACC is just looking around going, how do they keep getting these guys? Why can't we steal one or two of these? It just shows what Coach Hamilton's built in Tallahassee, and will hopefully keep going for a little while longer.
On to questions now, the segment here, before we jump into trivia and fun facts and end off the podcast. This question comes from I'm going to call you Heath from Twitter. Against Duke, do we try to lock down Trey Jones, or do we play him the way we played Ja Morant last year and let him have what he wants, just shut down the other four on the court?
I think in an ideal world, Florida State would play that Ja Morant type game plan where they just let the point guard score whatever they want to score, but just don't let anybody else have the ball. But Murray State didn't have Vernon Carey. And Vernon Carey just has so much gravity as an offensive threat that you're not going to be able to just say, oh, we're going to shut down Vernon Carey this game. It just doesn't happen. He's going to be one of the main threats, or one of the main focuses for Florida State defensively, whether they double team him, trap him, just anything to get the ball out of Carey's hands. Then from there, I think they'll worry about the rest and let the rest play out. I also think if Trey Jones hadn't just played 42 minutes, I think the game plan might be a little more skewed towards him.
Yeah, I would say in this scenario, Vernon Carey is pretty much the Ja Morant. I think Florida State should give Vernon Carey what he wants, let him have a good game, and then focus on the other four guys. Try and lock down Trey Jones. I mean, obviously you have Trent Forrest, a big guard, long wingspan, great defender. I think you just tell Trent, say, hey, you got to lock down Trey for 40 minutes. And, you know, because Vernon Carey is going to get what he wants inside. Florida State's big man depth, it isn't there to tackle a player of this kind of caliber. Whereas I feel the opposite way with the guard depth. I think Florida State has some really great defensive guards that can go out and battle with the Blue Devils. So I say give Vernon Carey what he wants and try and lock up everyone else.
And Trent won't say this, so I'll say it for him. But he's got a personal rivalry with Trey Jones because he was upset Trey Jones made All-ACC first defensive team last year and Trent didn't. So he's got a little bit of a grudge and a little bit more of a chip on his shoulder. And when Trent plays with a chip on his shoulder, he's one of the best players in the country. So I'm expecting a big game from him.
Okay.
Well, there you go.
Little insight here from Here the Spear. This next question, Dustin, is coming from Mama Lewis. So you need to be on your best behavior now. Dustin. Two questions.
She told me the second question's from my dad, so.
Okay, gotcha.
The whole Lewis family chipping in for Hear the Spirit.
Yep, yeah. We won't be hearing any cuss words from Dustin this episode.
Damn it.
Playing Duke at home, FSU and Duke have the same record, 20-3. What do you foresee the key to defeating the Blue Devils? Also, since FSU has been winning home games since 2016 and showing strong pressure in the ACC, will this help attract top recruits?
Starting with the Duke question and the key to beating Duke, I think it's going to be using Florida State's depth to their advantage. They may start slow in the first half, but we've seen multiple times now throughout the season where they start to wear teams down in the second half. And with Duke coming off that overtime game, they're already going to be a little more worn down anyways. So just constantly rotating guys in and out, just constantly beating at Duke, wearing them down, I think that's going to be the key. Vernon Carey is going to get his own buckets. Some of these other guys are going to hit big-time shots even if they're contested. Just have to give all-out effort and continue wearing these guys down. As far as attracting top recruits, I think it already is attracting top recruits. Going 60, I believe it's 61-3 now since 2016.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of home advantage you can't find anywhere. The only team that's better than that is Gonzaga, and they play San Francisco and Mount St. Mary's every year.
Mm-hmm.
Coming to Florida State, where you're playing one of Duke or Carolina every single year. You've got Miami coming in every year, Notre Dame, Louisville. You've got so many big-time talents, Virginia and Virginia Tech, I forgot them, Syracuse. You got so many big-time programs in this conference. That alone is going to get you at least the attention of recruits, but obviously winning against those teams is going to get you recruits as well.
Yeah, and I'll say, since we've already talked about some of the other keys to beating Duke, I'll go ahead and just say free throw shooting and 3-point shooting. Duke, in their last game, got to the line 34 times against UNC. I think Florida State is going to want to do a good job of not fouling. The Blue Devils free throw shooters are a pretty good team shooting from the line. They did go 26 of 34 in those 34 attempts against UNC. They only went 4 out of 18 from deep, though. And just continuing to play to that tired legs factor. I mean, typically when you're tired, you don't shoot as well. So I'm hoping Florida State, who just knocked down 13 of 26 from behind the arc against Miami, will continue that shooting prowess into Durham on Monday night. If Florida State makes 9 or more threes, I think they're definitely going to win this game. If they can get to the line 25, 26 times, that's about where you're going to need to be to battle this one out on the road.
There's no chance Florida State gets the line or shoots 26 free throws. There's no way ACC officials let Florida State get that many free throw shots. I'd be surprised if they got more than 15, honestly.
Yeah, that's what you got to worry about, whistles. And then, the second part of the question, like you said, Austin, the results are pretty much already starting to speak for themselves. You just landed Bryce McGowan's, and then a bunch of the guys on the team right now are blue chip talents, or were some of the top recruits in the country coming out of high school. So I think that recruiting prowess is already showing itself, and it's just going to keep getting better.
Well, I think that'll end off the question segment of the podcast. You guys ready for some trivia?
Let's get it.
I sounded depressed there. Are you ready for some trivia?
No.
Not after that.
I was ready the first time.
I sounded depressed, and I'm not depressed. I might be a little tired.
No, he's depressed because he's messaging me on LinkedIn. That's how you know he's depressed.
He's messaging you on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
I was messaging him during basketball part of the podcast. I was just messing around.
Jeez.
Dustin, you're just jealous I'm not sliding into your DMs on LinkedIn.
I wouldn't know if you did because I don't get on that shit.
Oh, there you go. Well, that didn't really last long for not cussing.
They'll live.
All right, let's jump into question number one. What's the lead right now? Tied now?
I think it's tied. I think it's 3-3.
Yeah, I think it's 3-3 right now. All right. So last week we did jersey numbers for football. Since big game against Duke tomorrow night, I say we do basketball and we do jersey numbers. I think this would be a good one. So let's start off with a few notable names if we have to. Might just have to be one round. We'll see. That doesn't ever seem to be the case, though. Question number one. What jersey number did Charlie Ward wear playing basketball?
I should know this. I feel so stupid.
5 seconds. 3, 2.
13?
Guesses?
11?
The number is, 12. That is
the
hilarious.
epitome of our trivia.
Yep, pretty much. That is true. All right, round 2. What number did Okaro White wear during his time at FSU?
God.
I know this. I'll let Dustin go.
Oh. Austin says he knows it. There's 6 seconds left.
At least I'm pretty sure I know it.
Will Austin take the lead?
I'll say 10.
10.
The correct answer is 10.
So you did know it. All right. I should know that, dude, because Okara was one of the first guys we were watching with season tickets, just like I was talking about with Phil. Okara was still around back then.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I kind of knew that one too a little bit. It didn't come off too hard for me. Are y'all ready for round 3?
For sure.
What number did Jonathan Isaac wear at FSU?
Numero
unless I was about to say, unless it's a trick question, number 1, right?
Yes, that is correct. So now, since that one was a little bit easy, we're going to move into a little bit older and get some history in here for us.
Oh, God.
Some of our older listeners will probably know this one pretty easily, but we'll see. The youngins will know it. What number did former Nole Dave Cowens wear at FSU?
Dustin should know this since he's a Boston Celtic.
Oh, yeah, that is correct. What number did Dave...
I know what number he wore with the Celtics, but not Florida State.
Once again, I know this, so I'll wait for Dustin to go.
Wow. That is the reason why Austin is a lead basketball writer. He knows his jersey numbers.
Except for Charlie Ward, but we don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, except for Charlie Ward.
And I feel bad because I've met him.
Yeah, that is pretty sad, Austin.
I'll say
seconds.
I'll say 13.
Yeah, 13.
13 is the correct number, Dustin. You're doing a good job.
That's usually an unlucky number.
Yeah, it sometimes is. All right, next question.
My luck's going to run out on this one.
We'll see. Mike, this is also a good...
Depends who you're going with.
Yeah.
Give me Dwayne Bacon. I can do that one.
Next player on the list here. What number did Bernard James wear?
Oh, God.
Sarge.
I'm going to say 31.
One of my favorite Florida State players of all time. Number 5.
Did he actually wear number 5?
Let's see if Dustin loses a lead.
I'll be 35.
What was your question? What was your answer? 31?
Yeah, I said 31, but...
I'll even tell him he's wrong because 31 was Chris Singleton.
God.
No. Ding, 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 ding. Austin wins. Bernard James wore number 5 during his time at Florida State.
Shout out Sarge, man. I miss Bernard James. That dude was awesome.
Yeah, he was. I was quite young then, but...
I would say he's almost single-handedly the reason that 2012 Florida State ended up winning the ACC tournament.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Because I remember FSU, they weren't having a great year in 2012, and then they went on the road to Virginia Tech, and Bernard James had just an insane performance. I think it was like 30 points, 15 rebound type of game for FSU to beat Virginia Tech. And then they came back to Tallahassee with game day here, and that's where Dulkes just went absolutely insane against North Carolina. And from there, I felt like the team just got hot, especially during that that regular season where they went on to hit the buzzer beater at Duke and then go in winning the ACC tournament before it kind of fell apart in the Sweet 16, or was that the round of 32 year? Either way, that was one of my favorite years of Florida State basketball, no matter what.
Yeah, Bernard was just a crazy. He was one of the biggest impact kind of players you could have, but he was only 6'8", 6'9".
Yeah.
Yeah, at Virginia Tech, he had 18 points and 15 rebounds. Some of his stat lines that year were crazy. He also had 3 blocks that game. He had one game, 9 points, 7 boards, 5 blocks. Another game, 13 points, 9 rebounds, 5 blocks. He was just an animal. That dude
just
was
a
awesome.
guy built on grit and hard work. I mean, came to Florida State after serving in Iraq and Afghanistan, And also after playing at Florida State and having success with the Seminoles, went on to play in the NBA for a couple years and
For the
also
Dallas Mavs?
overseas, I think. So
Yeah, he was a beast in China. I think he was putting up like 20 and 12 over there.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, heck of a journey for that guy.
Y'all ready for the fun fact segment to end off the podcast?
Oh, Lord, I haven't
The
looked at my phone
best
fact.
and favorite segment. I've got one that I can start us off with. I actually have a few that I've been reading over now for a couple minutes.
By a couple minutes, he means the last 30 minutes of the Duke preview.
Yeah, pretty much. I had to find a new site. The last ones haven't been that impressive. I just kind of want a short and pretty interesting ones. But I found one. This one's pretty interesting to me. Wearing headphones for just an hour will increase the bacteria in your ear by 700 times. And that's actually pretty interesting to me because I wear headphones all the time. Like if I'm going to the gym or if I'm at work or I'm studying, I got headphones in. So I must have like a freaking germ-filled ears. Bacteria-filled mother effers.
Okay.
So Dustin, don't put your tongue to my ears anytime soon.
I was waiting for that. That's why I said okay.
Yeah. Warning to you, Dustin. Don't do it.
Well, my fun fact is there's never been a documented perfect March Madness bracket, and it says statistically speaking, you have a 1 in 9.2 quintillion chance of filling out a perfect March Madness bracket, which is kind of insane.
Until I break it.
Wait, yeah, I was about to say, wait till this year.
Wait till this year.
Well, my fun fact is, I was just scrolling through some in this.
I have one that I can say if you're still looking.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm just.
Yours? Okay.
This is very. To me, this is very.
This is the most serious part of the podcast, anyway. So I'm just making sure. This is why people come. They usually just skip the whole podcast and come to this segment. So
right. Yeah. Understandably.
Good. Yeah. Don't blame them.
Did you know the 57 on Heinz ketchup bottles represents the varieties of pickle the company once had?
Variety of pickles, huh?
I didn't know there were 57 kinds of pickles in the first place. But
yeah, I had
here we
no
are.
idea. I guess there's different kind of pickles. You got it, girth, length.
Shocking that girth is the first factor you put in.
Sometimes you gotta chew on a sucker. No, sometimes I like eating pickles, but I like them like sliced. I'm not gonna eat it like, just grab a pickle and I'm biting down on it and stuff. You like pickles, Dustin?
They're all right.
I like them on burgers and stuff, but that's a pretty interesting thing. I would have never thought that was from Heinz.
I have to ask Popeyes to hold the pickles on the sandwiches.
I asked Chick-fil-A to hold the pickles.
Yep, same.
I like pickles.
Bitch-ass pickles.
There's one in here. Oh, yeah, this is pretty interesting to me. And I don't know how this doesn't make sense. A duck's quack doesn't echo, and no one knows why.
That is awesome. I don't know why.
Because they're outside.
That is my favorite fact I've ever heard.
Well, I would think they'd done the test inside, too, but it doesn't echo. That shocks me. I'm going to Lake Ella tomorrow. I'm going to watch ducks. I'm going to see if it echoes. Hey, duck's quack doesn't echo. That's interesting to me. I got a good site to work with. I got like 100 of these things.
I need a YouTube video of someone just standing in the Grand Canyon with a duck.
Yes.
Just seeing if it echoes. That's what I need in my life.
That's what you watch a video on that. You watch a video on that, Austin, and we will make sure we bring that up after we have James Wilder and Carlos on Tuesday.
Should we ask them about why ducks can't?
Yeah, we'll all discuss it as a family. Like I said, I don't know where that podcast is going to go, but I'm really looking forward to it. Also looking forward to this game tomorrow night, FSU versus Duke. Where you guys projecting FSU will be in the AP rankings tomorrow afternoon?
I don't think anybody ahead of us lost. I could be wrong, but I think it should still be a 7-8 matchup.
Okay.
Number 1, baby.
All right.
Henry.
Yeah, they'll
Well,
probably be the same.
yeah. Well, big game tomorrow, 7 p.m. at ESPN. And we'll be recapping that, like I said, in this next episode on Here to Spear. We're really excited about it. Former Noles, 2 national champions from the 2013 team, James Wilder Jr., who we've had on the podcast before, and also Carlos Williams. We're both going to have them on at the same time. We're going to discuss a lot of things. I've already got a lot of things on my mind to ask them. And I still want to talk a lot about maybe some good stories that haven't been told, and I think it'll be a nice conversation. And we'll be having them on Tuesday, and that podcast will be live to you guys on Wednesday. But as always, if you're listening now, thank you so much. We appreciate you guys for coming on and listening to us every week. If you're listening on iTunes, like I said, rate us 5 stars and leave a review. You'll have a chance for us to shout you out. We always appreciate you guys doing that. It helps us out and helps grow the podcast more to other Noles and grow the listens. If you're on Twitter, you can follow us at Hear the Spear. The guys' Twitter handles are below. You can go check them out there. But yeah, we'll talk to you on Wednesday. You'll have a great start to your week. And enjoy the game tomorrow evening.
Mama told me not to sell word.